So I've been hearing from a lot of people lately, like, hey, how come I can't stay asleep? I'm really tired. I go right to sleep and then like 2 or 3 hours I'm up and I can't get back to sleep and the next day I'm a total zombie. So in this video, I'm going to help you understand the most common underlying causes that are creating trouble staying asleep and steps you can take to improve that situation. Let's jump in.
T.C. Hale is not a doctor and does not claim to be a doctor or licensed in any type of medical field. Don't be an idiot and use anything heard on the show as medical advice. This information should be used for educational purposes only, and you should contact your doctor for any medical advice. Now get off me.
Now, 10 plus years ago, I was a major insomniac and I had a lot of trouble getting any sleep and functioning as a human being. So I understand. It's horrible. It wrecks your whole life. It makes everything just not as good. But the first thing that you need to understand to keep from becoming really frustrated with this situation is that there is no remedy for insomnia. It does not exist. It's not ever going to happen because the reason for the person dealing with insomnia can vary greatly from person to person. So how is any one remedy going to fix that problem for every person if the underlying cause is different from person to person? So the reality is that a person will find a remedy that will work great for them and they'll tell their friend, oh, you got to use this, and it'll make that person's insomnia much worse because that's magnifying an imbalance or some type of problem going on in their body, and it's not correcting the problem at all. They're like, thanks a lot, you're a big jerk, I haven't slept since Thursday. So what we need to understand when we want to improve sleep, we need to look at the person, not just the symptom that they're dealing with. We need to look at the person and how their bioindividuality, how their body chemistry is working, and how their body is functioning. So there's a wide variety of issues that can actually create insomnia, but in this video, I want to talk about the most common causes for people that can't stay asleep. Maybe they do okay falling asleep, but they just can't stay asleep through the night. So what we need to understand is that when you go night-night, your body is just not like, okay, everybody, we'll see you in the morning, let's shut it down. No, your body has a lot of functions that it needs to complete while you sleep. And without those functions going on, the body's not going to continue to work the way that it's supposed to work. Now the problem is, it takes a lot of resources to run a lot of these functions. So when a person's having a hard time staying asleep, there's usually something that is destabilizing the system. And what we want to look at first and foremost is, does the person have enough resources to complete all the functions that need to go on while that person is sleeping? So to run these functions, the body needs like vitamins and minerals and amino acids and some type of fuel source so that everything can just kind of work. And it's really common today for minerals and other resources to go really low. And one thing that you could do to get an idea of where your mineral levels are, and this isn't going to give you a diagnostic situation, but if you just look at your blood pressure and you just look at it at least 2 hours after a meal, but not first thing in the morning, just look at that top number, the systolic number, and if that's below 112, that's a really strong sign that there's not enough minerals in the system and that blood pressure is on the lower side. And it's possible that a person may not be bringing in enough minerals, or maybe they're peeing out too many minerals, but when those minerals are low, that blood pressure will often show as really low. And I'm going to put a link in the description below of a study where they really kind of broke down different blood pressure ranges for people that were having trouble sleeping. And the people that were in the normal range or the higher type range, there wasn't a big difference in how they were sleeping, but for the lower blood pressure people, they had some major issues going on. And the viewpoint in the study was that it was some type of emergency response that the body is having. Almost like, hey, we don't have enough resources to get everything to happen correctly, now go get us something so that we can function. And our bodies don't operate with the understanding like you have a chicken sandwich in the refrigerator downstairs. It operates with, oh, you need to go and find a zebra and whack it on the head, and so that you can get some kind of fuel source, or you need to go hunt down some berries or something. So it'll plan ahead and get a little bit defensive when resources are going lower, even when there may still be enough to function for a little bit longer. So a lot of these people seem to be having trouble just because there's not enough resources and minerals in the system to allow all those functions that need to go on at night while we're sleeping. So for the clients that I see that are having a hard time staying asleep, it's really common for me to see them having a low blood pressure reading, indicating there's not enough minerals in the system for everything to work correctly. And the next problem that I see, that's probably the second most common thing that I see, is hypoglycemic type reactions. So maybe a person, when they're eating carbohydrates or sugars, their body reacts a little bit too aggressively and sweeps too much of that blood sugar out of the bloodstream, and they have a sugar crash. So a lot of times this will go hand in hand with those low mineral issues, because if there's not enough minerals in the system, the body can kind of crash. And if there's not enough blood sugar in the system, the body can kind of crash. But if one of them is okay, it'll buffer the other one and they'll be fine. So as long as there's enough minerals, the body can still function when that sugar starts to dip a little bit too low. And if blood sugar is higher, the body does okay if the minerals go too low. But when both go low at the same time, the body's kind of freaking out. It's like, hey, I got nothing here. You need to do something real quick. Get out of bed and go do something about it. So it's these hypoglycemic type responses that seem to magnify the problems of either when a person has low blood pressure and low mineral levels, or even if the mineral levels are okay, it can create a major sugar crash that can create an emergency in the body. And these sugar crashes can come about because maybe a person's insulin is acting almost like a bully, like it works almost too effectively, and that's why these people have these hypoglycemic type reactions. But also, if a person is leaning too far on the insulin resistance side, well then the blood sugar will come into the system and the body will be like, oh, I got to make some insulin. But then the insulin doesn't really do the job because the cells have become less responsive to that insulin. They become insulin resistant. So then the body's like, oh, I'll just make more insulin. And then it makes more and more insulin until eventually there's 5 times the amount of insulin in the system, and it eventually will work. And it kind of sweeps out too much blood sugar at that time, because it's like you turned on 5 furnaces in the house and all of a sudden it got way too hot. So some people can have a hypoglycemic response because that insulin is too powerful, and some people will have a similar response because it's not working well enough. So when the body makes a whole bunch, it can still sweep out too much blood sugar at one time and create that crash. So what we see is that if a person looks at their urine pH and it's a little bit on the higher side, like maybe above 6.2 or 6.3 or so, that those individuals usually have insulin that seems to be a little bit more effective, a little bit too effective in creating those hypoglycemic type responses. And we're not saying that high urine pHs causes sugar crashes, it just seems to be something that we see a lot. And if someone can correct that high urine pH, then all of a sudden the insulin doesn't seem to act like such a bully. So there's steps that you can take to just look at your body chemistry to get an idea. Oh, are some of these things really out of whack? And could that be what's creating these symptoms for me? So we'll put a link in the description below for our totally free digestion course. And you can go through that course and it shows you how to run some simple self-tests at home on your body chemistry, just using tools you can pick up like a pharmacy or a health food store. And it also shows you how to fill out what's called an imbalance guide. And that imbalance guide lets you put these self-test numbers in there and get an idea. Wait, is this really out of whack? Am I really imbalanced in this area? And if I am, that sure would make sense for this sleep trouble that I'm having. So if you can correct that imbalance, then a lot of times you can improve the sleep. And what's really interesting is that imbalance guide can help you figure out if you're leaning too far on what we call an anabolic side of an anabolic and catabolic natural circadian rhythm. And what's interesting is that study that I linked below talked about that a lot of these folks with the low blood pressure and hypotension that were having trouble sleeping through the night were also experiencing a lot of like tachycardia issues that were kind of waking them up. And when we see with people dealing with a lot of tachycardia issues that they're often leaning too far on that anabolic side and their urine pH is too high, creating that hypoglycemic type response. So that may be a factor for some of these folks. It could be the lower mineral levels. It could be the hypoglycemia coming from insulin being too powerful. It could be from being in an overly anabolic state that's creating these tachycardia issues. But when you look at your body chemistry, you can see what might be more appropriate for you. And that really helps us understand why one remedy is not going to fix this problem for everybody, because there's a variable of different factors that could be the big player from person to person. But really all you care about is what's going on with you. What's the problem for you and what steps are going to help you fix that. So check out that free course that we'll link in the description below, and that'll walk you through figuring out what's going on with your body chemistry so you know what's going on with you. And there are other imbalances and issues that can create insomnia for other people as well. So if you haven't seen it yet, jump over now and check out our video on real answers for better sleep, and that'll give you more insights into other problems that can create insomnia type issues too. I can't wait to hear about your results.